So we're going to be attaching brackets now. I'm only going to do the left half over here because I'm sure you guys can figure out the other half. It's the exact same, except for this side has one extra bracket for the NEMA 23. So I'm going to show you how to start these tube clamps here. So here's the base here of one of the tube clamps. Okay. Uh, so it mounts to the rail with this hole and this hole, but then you have this hole right here, which mounts to the strap here, right? So this hole right here needs to be preloaded. Okay, so you need to get a nut in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an extra long M3 screw and just push it through, right? So it's way through there. And then I'm going to put an M3 nut on here. Okay, then I'm going to pull it while I line it up with the hexagonal pattern here. And it doesn't want to pull. So that's all right. Because now I have something to screw it in. I guess I'll put a washer in here first to make sure I don't ruin the backside. Spread out the load a little bit. Okay, tightening this up a bit here. And now it's getting close to that hole. Got to make sure that hex pattern matches up. There we go. I'm just going to push down while the screw sucks it in. There we go. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely pulling that nut in to the little crevice in there. I'm just going to keep screwing until it's tight. All right, so now that nut's all the way in there. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this screw back out. Now that nut's loaded in there. Okay, now I'm not going to actually attach the top strap because we're just going to have to take it off for the tube anyway, so I'm just going to leave this sitting to the side. When you're ready to attach this, we're going to use M3 by 20s, and this hole you're going to be able to have access to for the other side of the strap, right? But this one would be a little tougher, so we got to make sure we preload this M3 nut in there. Okay, so now that we got that done, now we can put the strap on. So I guess a clamp on. I'm going to use M5 by 10 millimeter screws here. That's what it's designed for. So M5 screw plus a washer here. And here's the strap. So it goes this way, right? So that way the machine's on its back. I'm looking at the top of the machine. The bottom of the machine's over here, the top's over here. And so I want the tube to be able to catch it without having to hold it there. So it's oriented to do so. So what I'm going to do here is put a screw in the backside here, right? It's popping through. And then capture one of these nuts. Hopefully you guys preloaded these nuts. If not, you're going to have to do drop-ins, which I would almost say it's worth it to take it apart and put slide-ins here because we are going to have to move this up and down eventually to do the final alignment. And so it's nice with these because they actually slide in there until you tighten them. So I'm going to center this, kind of lazily. It's probably going to have to move. I'm sure it's going to have to move. So I don't really have to commit to anything here. Okay, so we got a strap there. Okay, and now let's put the Y bearing holder here. Okay, so this is the Y bearing holder, right? It's gonna go on like this, and then there's gonna be a bearing block like this here. Okay, so it's got three spots that mounts to the frame. It's got this hole, and this hole, and this hole is just for that bearing itself, the pillow bearing. So let's go back to my lap here. Okay, so I just want to get one of these on here. Okay, so let's see. It goes like this. Got to remember to orient it right. Okay, and then I'm going to use an M5 by 18 to go through this here. So washer right there, right? M5 by 18, pillow bearing, bracket, backside, washer. There we go. And I'll grab a lock nut here to make sure it stays. Okay, there's a lock nut. Nope. Need an 8mm wrench. There you go. There's an 8mm wrench. Okay. So take my 8mm wrench. And my Allen here. Start tightening it. Not too tight. I need it to move just a little bit to line up with things. Okay. So get it kind of snug, but not like that snug. Just enough for this to stop moving freely. I don't know if you see how freely that moves. But there we go. Okay. So now it doesn't move freely at all. Okay. So I got this here. And now I'm going to use an M3 by 6 or M5 by 16 with the washer here. Guess I can expand this a little bit for you guys. Okay, here we go. So that's a M5 by 18 washer, pillow bearing, then washer, then lock nut. So here's an M5 by 16 washer coming through. I'm going to slightly distort the threads here. Okay, because I'm using a drop in for this. Okay, and then start screwing that drop in. There we go. That should be fine. All right. So we're going to be looking at this rail right here, okay? This is the one with the linear bearing here, okay? All right. So, let's do this here. I'm going to try to line these bottom uh slide nuts in about as best as I can there. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to do M5 by, what would that be? 12? M5 by 12 screws here. Okay, that seems to have caught. And do the same thing on the other side, M5 by 12. There we go. Now to straighten everything out. Really important that this goes in kind of flush with everything here. So that's what it should look like so far. I'll come back. There we go. Okay. And if we need to adjust it, we can. We can loosen things up and move things around as needed. Okay. That should be pretty good here. That's about right. We'll see if it's perfect once we get the belts on. Okay. All right. Okay, so we got what do we got? We got the tube bracket way back here. We got the pillow bearing here. And now we need the NEMA 23 bracket, which should line up almost perfectly with this idler. Well, with this bearing here. And we'll have to actually put a rod through here to get it to line up perfectly. So right now I'll just loosely mount it and then line it up once I get more equipment attached. So that's another M3 by 12 with washers. And I'll give it a little bit of a tightening just to keep it snug. Okay. And so put your clamps on the other side and your pillow bearing bracket on the other side, and we'll move on to the next step. Thanks for watching.